below the line. 20. 17. 14. 13. 4, 3, 2, 1, done.
Another clean start and another good job by Dellenbaugh.
Yeah, I guess I'm muted. I guess I was muted. Woohoo! Good for me. I got to start this all over again. What we're looking at here is the Etchells Casco Bay Fleet 27 championship team for 2023. This is Dr. Andrew Carey, my skipper, drives the boat, helm extraordinaire. Myself, I call tactics and strategy, etc., and trim the spinnaker going downwind, trim the sail going downwind. Sam Scribner, who does our foredeck and calls tactics downwind, along with Alex Dion, who trims the mainsail upwind, downwind, and whichever way we go. And she and Sam call tactics downwind because I'm too busy staring at the spinnaker. most of the time. I like to check in. It's like, where the hell are we? Where's where's the mark? I'm looking for where the mark is and all of that kind of stuff too, from time to time. But encourage other people to look around, including Andrews. Like, what the hell? It's like I don't have eyes in the back of my head. I don't know. Anyway, um, we spent from May until September, middle of May till the middle of September, racing an Etchells 22, one design sailboat that's 22 feet on the water line and about 33 feet overall. Very pretty boat. Um, I think I can actually show you an Etchells 22. I can change my background from a live shot of Cape Elizabeth at night to, let's see, no, not that, not that, not that, not that, not better, not that. That's me at 17. Oh my goodness. You don't need me at 17. Not black. Oh yeah, Etchells. Those are Etchells. Those are Etchellses in back of me. See, there they are. They're pretty boats. They're really kind of neat. They don't have any lifelines or anything. Hold on. Let me get these guys off the screen. And then you can see the whole boat. It's a little bit prettier. Yeah, we can do that, I think. Yeah, that's it. Light air there. It's not blowing too hard. These people are getting ready to put the spinnaker up. Yeah. So they've just gone. These boats have just gone around the weather mark, and yeah. So they're pretty boats. They're fun boats. They've got little tiny. These jibs are really tiny, and the main is really huge. So the main's really critical, and Alex does a great job trimming the sail. It's really hard to the mainsail trimmer and the helmsman need to work in tandem to really make the boat go fast upwind. It's a whole team effort. It's a tricky thing. But anyway, we worked together for over the course of how many races? How many weeks? I think we got in like 20. I think we got in like 26 races from May to September, and we won enough of them to win the season championship in a fleet of 23 boats. So yeah, it was fun. It was really fun. It's really rewarding. Um, it's another series, another trophy, another thing. But it's as long as it keeps going, that's the thing. It's like, well, maybe next time uh we'll win. It's like you go out there, just try to sail well and stuff. So I figured, I think I posted in the chat earlier, the best sailing t-shirt I ever saw was a friend of mine, Moose McClintock, came into work at Shore Sales Rhode Island one day with his T-shirt on that said it was a 505 Worlds T-shirt, or I don't know, I think it was Worlds, yeah, 505 Worlds T-shirt, and it said "Overbearing in victory, surly in defeat." It's like, yeah, that's about right. So I'm being a little bit overbearing in victory. I mean, I obviously knew that we'd won the championship when the season was over, but tonight was awards night, and tonight was also, it was on the 20th of November, also a Transgender Day of Remembrance, and the day for me was like pretty bittersweet in terms of thinking about uh, the current climate and folks we lost over the course of the year. But you know, here's the thing. Let's put these guys up there again. You know, these people keep me alive. These people are my friends. Um, Sam and Alex, I met Sam and Alex when they were both in high school, and I was working at Sail Maine, a community sailing program in Portland, Maine. And I was uh, talking about, I was teaching rules, racing rules a little bit, mostly doing a bunch of behind the scenes stuff. But I knew both of these guys when they were in high school, like 12 years ago or so, 12, 13 years ago. So, like, this is my family. Um, the sport is been so kind to me. So when people, when people thinking over the long term, it's just really, really hard right now with all of the shit that trans people have to deal with. But those kids didn't have to deal with me. They didn't know I was trans. You know, it's been so long. 25 years, a long time. Anyway, getting into the getting into the somewhat modeling stuff, but it's a comfort to me. It really is. It's just a comfort to me to know that there are people in the world that are cool, that really care, that really um, care about just playing and care about just doing stuff and care about touching grass and not worrying about a whole bunch of bullshit. And that, you know, it's really kind of cool. It's really kind of neat. And I want y'all to know, the folks of you who interact with me, etc. It's like, yeah, I don't deal with half the shit that I talk about. Um, the serious stuff I talk about, and maybe that informs a little bit why I am so passionate about trans people in sport, because it's a place we can make a difference. I can make a difference. I'm good enough to do it. You know, I have that skill. And most people don't care that I'm trans. A whole bunch of people don't know that I'm trans. And I don't make a big fucking deal out of it. So this is the night for me to just exult. I want to exult a little bit. Anybody wants to come in and help me exalt, that'd be great. But you don't have to. I just wanted to come on and say give a quick homage to my team, the people I sail with, my team here, the people I hang with often, virtually. Because I think we all need to hang together. I think we all need to hang together to make a better world. We can't be uh, atomizing ourselves. And I know I'm bad at it. sometimes I miss the forest for the trees and nitpick a wee bit too much. And I I try to keep that under control as much as possible. Um, but we do all need to work together. And I hope that in some small way I can be a part of that. And I hope that when you see me going the wrong way, you won't hesitate to call me out and say, "Hey, babe, you gotta dial it back some." Hey, Purple. Hey, Pragmatic Crystal. Hey, Native Atheist. Hey, all you lovely people, Jester, Lord of Fools. Thank you so much for being here. Look at the Trees was here earlier. Look at the Trees. Thought Sam was Vandy, but it's not Vandy. Vandy's a lot taller and he's not a ginger. One of the cool things about this boat is like Alex and Sam are like both gingers, and so there are only two souls on the boat, which is pretty spooky. I don't know how he managed to get around. Oh my, I just went blurry all the time. It's like, yeah, my lighting is shitty. At the moment, I could turn on some lights. I probably should turn on some lights. Why not? Why don't I turn on some lights? Why don't I pay attention to what the fuck's going on in this? Yeah, I don't know all this stuff. Anyway, yeah, that's better. Okay, yeah, that's better. I'm trying to pay attention to the chat. Who else? Hi. Yeah, yeah. Let me turn on some lights because I don't like the way my hair is disappearing. That's really that's kind of disappointing. So what y'all doing for Thanksgiving? I'm basically hanging out here at the sail loft, maybe cooking a turkey right here. God, no, man, I got to be very careful not to set off the fire alarm because if I do, the fire department will come by and that's never a good thing. Hold on a second. Turn on some lights. Yep. Why not get bright? Why not get brilliant? Yeah. The studio. This is such a fucking mess. Just got the lighting on. Okay. I'll probably go out of focus again. The way it goes, the way this fucking thing goes. There we go. Yeah. Going to a restaurant. Oh no, Purple, you've got COVID? The fuck? Oh, babe, I'm so sorry. That's terrible. Because it sucks. I've had it. Like, well, I had COVID the original series. I had COVID the Empire Strikes Back, and I had COVID another time too, and it's not much fun. It's not much fun. It's terrible. The first go around was really bad. Mostly because it was in like mid-January through February of 2020, and nobody knew what the fuck it was, and I just figured it was really bad flu. Yeah, I got the first shot and everything after, I had it and then I got it again. And I got it again. I just haven't been I haven't been I haven't been neglectful, although lately I have been, and I really should get another shot. But I was convinced it was the flu, and I had gotten a flu shot, and I figured, any flu shot I've ever gotten has never protected me from the flu, and I just figured it's like, ah, shit, not again. I just got that other strain. Oh, pragmatic. The brain fog. Brain fog has been a problem for me. It's been a real big problem for me after that go around. That it's been bad. And I'm no spring chicken, as you can plainly see. I actually felt pretty lucky because a really good friend of mine caught it bad enough. I mean, he was one of the original people that wound up on a fucking ventilator up here at Midcoast Hospital, and he 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 got you know they infused him with plasma, and he came out of it. So anyway, yeah, it ain't the greatest. I don't recommend it. Can't recommend. It's pretty bad. It's little microbes, and people say evolution isn't real. It's like, well, yeah, it's like things pop up every now and again. We've got genetic uh, genetic strains of viruses ringing around in our DNA from ancient times. You know, it's a wonderful thing, I guess. Life. It's that didn't put me in the hospital either, but I could have done. I could have easily done, I suppose. Hasn't affected my smoking, which is rather stupid. But this is going to kill me. I'm convinced this is going to kill. Something's going to kill me. That's not. Once thought sailing was going to kill me a couple of times actually. Could have done. Yeah, you're 700 miles from land and the boat's filling up with water. You just sort of said, is this going to kill me? No, it isn't going to kill you. Figure it out. But something's gonna get you. But it ain't easy. It isn't easy getting old. It isn't. I feel pretty goddamn fortunate that I'm able to do what I can do now. Um, and I hope to be able to keep it up for a while. We'll see. See how much longer it takes. Because these boats, you can see what they look like. Sailing these things is beastly in a breeze. What you need to haul your ass over the side of that boat and hanging on to one rope, like all the way out, like beyond the rail, beyond beyond the edge of the boat, and hike. It takes it takes a lot out of you in terms of abdominal strength. Hiking on an Etchells is painful. Not as painful as some boats, but it's painful. And I ain't got much to hang on to. It's a big pain in the ass. But do what you do. Hey, perps, I need to find your. Hang on, I gotta find you. I gotta find purples. Purple needs her van back. I gotta find. I put your wrenched here. Just drop a link to your fundraiser in there, perps, because I don't know how many. I don't know how many people are watching right now. But maybe somebody will catch it later. I don't know. I'm not featuring the dynamic interaction between, I don't know, some Christian apologist on the stream this evening. And I won't be doing that. I won't be doing that here. I won't be featuring Christian apologetics on the stream unless some Christian apologetics type wants to come in here and make an ass out of himself. Just because I find it boring. It's just one of those things that to each his own, I suppose, but I just get tired of it. I just get tired of it. I'm far more concerned with what those idiots do in real life and how they affect me in real life. Because I don't care about their epistemology. I don't care about their ontology. I don't care about their stuff. I care about what they do. And it really drives me nuts when they just sit there and think it's their mission to argue about the validity of God. Because at the end of the day, if they convince me to accept the validity of their God, they're trying to convince me of the invalidity of my life. And I find that to be a reprehensible way to argue with people. I was like, well, I think it works both ways, really. Somebody wants to convince me that my life, my experience, my being human, my way of being human is invalid, is rather presumptuous. And I think that my arguing that a person who derives their sense of goodness from a God belief when their sense of goodness leads them to do good things in this world and treat me like a sibling, I don't have a quarrel with that person. I have perhaps a quarrel with the reason for that. But I don't really feel compelled to disabuse them of that notion. I think it would be like, for example, my sister and I had long talks. She knew I was an atheist. Christ, my whole family knew I didn't harbor a God belief. And as you probably all know, if you've been watching me for a while, they're all fucking ministers for the most part, or were anyway. And some still are. But my Methodist minister nephew sent me a message on Facebook Messenger wishing me a happy rebirth day on the 12th of November, which is the anniversary of my GRS. So, and am I gonna, you know, I loved arguing with my sister about divinity and the the ontological arguments. I loved arguing with my dad about it. I loved arguing with my brother-in-law and brother. I loved the back and forth about but those people were approaching this from the point of view that humans are humans. You're you. And the discussion was academic. It was literally an academic discussion. But it wasn't, it wasn't driven to convincing me that I was bound to hell. I mean, I think that people who hammer on sin and torture and it's like doing the Jonathan Edwards thing from the 17th century, preaching like the first Great Awakening stuff, and I know all this history and I know all that stuff. I mean, I know what Calvinism is, and I know about the elect, and I know about John Wesley, and I know about uh, antinomianism. I know about all that stuff, but it's fascinating. But after a certain point, it's like, are people good people or are people assholes? Um, you know, I don't think it's really all that cool that Rebecca Davis thinks that the Earth is 6,000 years old, but it is pretty cool that she doesn't think LGBTQ people are uh, bereft of goodness and separated from the common uh, 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 from the commonwealth of humanity. I think that's good, and I think that someone who is willing to, well, I I would have to say, sacrifice a good portion of her audience in in viewing trans people and gay people, etc., with kindness is a noble thing, and I think it's a great. I think it's a good thing because I can't talk to those people. She can. I mean, she can talk to the young Earth creationists. I can't do that. I can't do that. The young Earth creationists who hate people like me, who hate uh, who hate people who are gay, who hate people who are lesbians, etc., and so forth. I can't talk to those people. It's not something I can do. And I honestly don't think that the soundness of somebody's epistemology, the soundness of somebody's ontology, it really matters a good goddamn. What matters is what they do. And I guess I get a little bit impatient. I get a little bit impatient with. I get way too impatient. Let's be honest. I have gone off the rails in saying, "Oh, what the fuck are you people doing, arguing these things? It's like, what difference does it make?" And they're doing it for fun. They're doing it for their own enjoyment, and they're doing it for uh, because it's intriguing, I guess. But it's not intriguing to me. I mean, it's fun in the let's watch a train wreck sort of way because it never gets anywhere. It's like you just sit there and argue with I don't know, Saitan Budenkade. It's like I gotta watch that over and over and over again. Frank Turek, it's like gonna watch that over and over and over again. Ken Hovind, gonna watch that over and over and over again. Ken Ham, gonna watch that over and over and over again. Because thing is, all of those guys are basically saying, you better accept Jesus. You better accept Jesus. You better put away that sin. You got to put away that sin in your life. You got to put away that piece of who you are. That's you got to put away put put away your sin. Walk away from your sin. And what they're calling my sin is a piece of my humanity that I can't get away from. I tried. I tried. I tried really hard. And the harder I fought, the less I was me. I find it, I guess that's part of my life experience that, other people that some other people don't necessarily have. It's like, what's the point when you've struggled that hard? And a lot of people, mostly people who've come out of the hardcore, hard nosed, this is not an intellectual debate. This is a matter of your eternal life and your eternal death. Form of religion will argue the point over and over again because it lends them a certain form of freedom. But you can have that freedom just by simply saying it's all bullshit. Know the arguments, know the stuff, know all that stuff, but my God, it's all, read other stuff, read other bits of philosophy and argue the points on the merits of that. Read physics, read medicine, read biology, read all of this stuff. But that's not the point. You don't need to justify. You don't need to justify your being on the basis of or in reaction to the faith that you were brought up in, because the faith you were brought up in probably is standing in quicksand. You need to discover, I think you need to discover a place that gives you that goodness in life, gives you a place to be in life. You need to do some thinking for yourself every now and again, and not, hey Maya, so glad to see you. It's great to see you in the chat. I'm just here exulting and waxing on a little bit. Hey, look, I gotta, Maya, you weren't here earlier. I gotta introduce you to my friends. Hold on a second. I need to introduce you to my friends. My friend Andrew Carey, myself, of course. It's like the stupid bitch that I am. My friend Sam Scribner, my friend Alex Dion. This is the I'm sorry, not J24. I'll probably be bragging about that later on. The Etchells Fleet 27 Casco Bay Fleet season champions this year. Won a lot of races with these folks, and they keep me sane. And tonight was our yesterday evening. It's now 1:48, but it's yesterday evening. This was our awards dinner, and we all got together and got to see the fruits of our labors rewarded in front of the rest of the fleet of 23 boats, 23 crews. So, a bunch of people there. It was fun. Anyway, love these people. They keep me sane. Somewhat. Closest they can do. These are the boats we sail right there. I hope you'll all, I beg y'all's indulgence for the late arrivals. Hey, Robin. But as I was saying, it's like that's what matters to me. That's what matters, being able to go out and do this stuff, going out and being able to live and breathe and sail, you know, going out and being able to going out and being able to interact with nature and use the wind and the water and the current and the tide to your benefit to get from one place to another. In the case of sailboat racing, just to go around buoys and it's faster than anybody else. It's really fun. It's a lot of fun. It's very challenging. It's a very, very hard game to play. It's really, really hard game to play. And it's wonderful to be able to do it and not and put all the bullshit aside. Just put all of it aside and just be. It's very zen. It's probably one of the most zen sports there is because it's like, you can't control the wind, but you can adjust the sails. It's like you can't. You can't. It's just a whole shit ton of fun. Anyway. That's why it's fun to laugh. That's why I really enjoy. If you haven't checked into Bad Science Sunday, check out Bad Science Sunday on Maya's channel. It's wonderful. It's really great because you just sit there and laugh. It's like, what? Huh? What? What are you talking about? What do you mean? What do you mean with a? Hey there, brother. Who are you jiving with that cosmic debris? It's like, just what are you talking about? I love the people that come up with the Big Bang is predicted in the Bible. It's like, no, it's not. No, it's not. The Bible predicts a lot of stuff, but it's mostly bullshit. And it's really it's really a bunch of stories. I mean, it's like, do I have to post? I've got to post it. In the beginning, Eru the One, who in the Elvish tongue is named Iluvatar, made the Ainur of his thought, and they made a great music before him. In this music the world was begun, for Iluvatar made visible the song of the Ainur, and they beheld it as a light in the darkness. And many among them became enamored of its beauty and of its history, which they saw beginning and unfolding as in a vision. Therefore, Iluvatar gave to their vision being and set it amid the void, and the secret fire was sent to burn at the heart of the world, and it was called Ea. I like that a lot more than, let's see, this one. But it's of a kind, it's of a kind. It's a story of a kind that goes, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God was moving across the face of the waters, and God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And God saw that the light was good. And God separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was an evening, there was morning, one day. Stories. Stories are great. Stories are what people do. I'm telling you a story right now. I'm telling you a story of my life. I'm telling you a story of the past sailing season that we won. that we won. Through the grace of these people, all of our efforts, we won. Each one of those people has a story. We win by listening to each other's stories, knitting them together in an effort to do better in this world, on that race course, in a little tiny arena. That's how we win. I don't see the point of arguing which story is better. Is it this one? Holy Bible. You can see it's not like I haven't read my Bible that I got when I was 12. It's not that I, haven't read the Silmarillion, which I got when I was maybe what? I don't know. When did it come out? When this is the first edition? When did this fucking thing get published? 1977. Holy Moses. I was 20 something. 27. Got that. Really? No, couldn't have been. Yeah. 77, 27. No, 25. It's not that I don't enjoy the stories. I really, that's when, P-Town was on here, and I sort of recited from memory the story of the Bhagavad Gita with Krishna and Arjuna and stopping before the great battle, before the Mahabharata, which is, the Bhagavad Gita is part of the Mahabharata, which is the Great War, which is blah 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 blah. But there's a story. It's a story that people tell people. And people tell each other in order to move it forward. I mean, I don't think Tolkien did. I think he did it for sheer his own personal entertainment to come up with a thing. But maybe, he wasn't on a mission to get everybody to believe in Iluvatar. Although he was a devout Catholic, he'd prefer that people believe the thing in the Red Book rather than the Green Book. And then again, there's the other Green Book that I got sitting around here in our Arabic about the the Quran. There are all sorts of stories. There are stories whose stories are replicated in the Hebrew text of the Bible and the Old Testament and stuff. There are those stories that come from earlier legends in the Fertile Crescent, through Canaan, through Egypt, there are all kinds of stories. Are they true? No, not necessarily. But they're stories. They're products of the human imagination. The human imagination is one of the greatest things in the world. One of the products of the human imagination is the actual thinking. It's like, well, can you imagine? It's like thought experiments are stories. They start as stories. But when they're applied to the real world, and you question the story you made up, you ask the real world, does this story comport with the physical world? If the physical world says no, Make up a different story or call it a story, but try to ascertain what the story that the real world is trying to tell you. That's called science. That's called science. It's still a product of the human imagination, because without imagination, it would be very difficult to posit a story that might make sense. I mean, if you take Genesis and say, and query the real world, you might not find God. You might not. You might not find God. See, the problem is when people insist on the God being in there somewhere, it's the God of gaps thing. It yeah, exactly, Ember. That's the perfect quote. It's Richard Feynman. And if you haven't seen that video, it's actually in Feynman's lectures at Cornell, the Messenger lectures at Cornell. You can find the video where Feynman delivers it. If you make up a theory, you work it all out, you go ask nature, and if it doesn't comport with nature, you're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. Let me see if I can find that. Holy shit, Feynman, Messenger lecture. Let's see if I can find that fucking thing, because it's really good. It really is. High above Cayuga's waters, there's an awful smell. Never mind. That's. You've probably all seen this anyway. Wait a second. I'm typing in somewhere, but it ain't here. There we go. I got it. I'm gonna just run through this, okay? All right, here we go. Present. Oops. We gotta do this right. Gotta do this right. They gotta do this shit right. I can't get this shit right. It's so awful. We're gonna start playing it. If you can't hear it, tell me right away.
Now I'm going to discuss how we would look for a new law. In general, we look for a new law by the following process. First, we guess it. Then we well, don't laugh. That's really true. Then we compute the consequences of the guess to see if this is right, if this law that we guessed is right, we see what it would imply, and then we compare those computation results to nature, or we say compare to experiment or experience, compare it directly with observation to see if it works. If it disagrees with experiment, it's wrong. And that simple statement is the key to science. It doesn't make a difference how beautiful your guess is. It doesn't make a difference how smart you are who made the guess or what his name is. If it disagrees with experiment, it's wrong. That's all there is to it. It's therefore not unscientific to take a guess, although many people who are not in science think it is. For instance, I had a conversation about flying saucers some years ago with laymen. Because I'm scientific, I know all about flying saucers. So I said, I don't think there are flying saucers. So my antagonist said, is it impossible that there are flying saucers? Can you prove that it's impossible? I said, no, I can't prove it's impossible. It's just very unlikely. That, they say, you are very unscientific. If you can't prove it impossible, then how can you say it's likely, that it's unlikely? Well, that's the way, that is scientific. It is scientific only to say what's more likely and less likely, and not to be proving all the time possible and impossible. To define what I mean, I finally said to him, listen, I mean that from my knowledge of the world that I see around me, I think that it is much more likely that the reports of flying saucers are the result of the known irrational characteristics of terrestrial intelligence rather than the unknown rational efforts of extraterrestrial intelligence. It's just more likely, that's all. And it's a good guess. And we always try to guess the most likely explanation, keeping in the back of the mind the fact that if it doesn't work, then we must discuss the other possibilities. There was, for instance, for a while, a phenomenon called superconductivity. There still is the phenomenon, which is that metals conduct electricity without resistance at low temperatures, and it was not at first obvious that this was a consequence of the known laws with these particles, but it turns out that it has been thought through carefully enough, and it's seen, in fact, to be a consequence of known laws. There are other phenomena, such as extrasensory perception, which cannot be explained by this known knowledge of physics here, and it is interesting, however, that phenomenon has not been well established, and that we cannot guarantee that it's there. So if it could be demonstrated, of course, that would prove that the physics is incomplete, and therefore it's extremely interesting to physicists, whether it's right or wrong, and many, many experiments exist which show it doesn't work. The same goes for astrological influences. If it were true that the stars could affect the day that it was good to go to the dentist, then, as in America we have that kind of astrology, then it would be wrong. The physics theory would be wrong because there's no mechanism understandable in principle from these things that would make it go. And that's the reason that there's some skepticism among scientists with regard to those ideas. Now, you see, of course, that with this method, we can disprove any definite theory. If you have a definite theory, a real guess from which you can really compute consequences which could be compared to experiment, then in principle, we can get rid of any theory. We can always prove any definite theory wrong. Notice, however, we never prove it right. Suppose that you invent a good guess, calculate the consequences, and discover that every consequence that you calculate agrees with experiment. The theory is then right? No, it is simply not proved wrong. Because in the future, there could be a wider range of experiments, you could compute a wider range of consequences, and you may discover then that the thing is wrong. That's why laws like Newton's laws for the motion of planets last such a long time. He guessed the law of gravitation, calculated all the kinds of consequences for the solar system and so on, compared them to experiment, and it took several hundred years before the slight error of the motion of Mercury was developed. During all that time, the theory had been failed to be proved wrong and could be taken to be temporarily right, but it can never be proved right because tomorrow's experiment may succeed in proving what you thought was right wrong. So we never are right, we can only be sure we're wrong. However, it's rather remarkable that we can last so long. I mean, have some idea which will last so long. I must also point out to you that you cannot prove a vague theory wrong. If the guess that you make is poorly expressed and rather vague, And the method that you use for figuring out the consequences is rather a little vague. You're not sure. I mean, you say, I think everything's because it's all due to Mughals, and Mughals do this and that, more or less, so I can sort of explain how this works. Then you see that that theory is good because it can't be proved wrong. If the process of computing the consequences is indefinite, then with a little skill, any experimental result can be made to look like an expected consequence. You're probably familiar with that in other fields. For example, A hates his mother. The reason is, of course, because she didn't caress him or love him enough when he was a child. Actually, if you investigate, you find out that, as a matter of fact, she did love him very much and everything was all right. Well, then, it's because she was overindulgent when he was young. So by having a vague theory, it's possible to get either result. Oh, wait. Now, the cure for this one is the following. It would be possible to say, if it were possible to state ahead of time how much love is not enough and how much love is overindulgent exactly, and then there would be a perfectly legitimate theory against which you can make tests. It is usually said when this is pointed out, how much love is and so on, oh, you're dealing with psychological matters and things can't be defined so precisely. Yes, but then you can't claim to know anything about it. Now, I want to concentrate from now on, because I'm a theoretical physicist and more delighted with this end of the problem, as to what goes, how do you make the guesses. Now, it's strictly, as I said before, not of any importance where the guess comes from. It's only important that it should agree with experiment and that it should be definite as definite as possible. What you say then is very simple. We've set up a machine, a great computing machine, which has a random wheel in it that makes a succession of guesses. And each time it guesses a hypothesis about how nature should work, computes immediately the consequences and makes a comparison to a list of experimental results it has at the other end. In other words, guessing is a dumb man's job.
You gotta love this guy. I mean, if you, this is, look at this crowd. Look at this crowd up here. Look at this crowd. This is Cornell University, 1964-ish, maybe. Somewhere around there, 61, 64. It's like, you know, it's like all these nice clean-cut people, and you notice the whole conversation about psychology and stuff. It's like, you know, is there anything you've heard here that's new, that you haven't heard a million fucking times on the Atheist Experience or the Lines channels or any one of the other channels here? We've been saying this forever. And how long does it take? If it's, but Feynman's delivering the goods with humor and speaking, you know, just brilliantly about what science is. Every story begins with a guess, but the method of science is to match the guess against, make that guess, make that query against nature. It's not simply trying to tell a story, it's trying to understand a story that is spread before us. The story is already spread before us. The natural philosophers of the 17th century, Isaac Newton, 18th century, Ben Franklin, these people are trying to understand the story spread before us by nature. And a lot of those people identified nature with God. That God is in there somewhere. Newton, quite famously, was also an alchemist. You know, it's like it's not like people have to be, and you know, have to be superhuman in any particular way. It's a question of understanding. What are you attempting to understand? What are you attempting to get at here? But you can't get at anything without without a dollop of imagination and knowing who you're questioning. Who are you querying? What What is the argument with? How can you have an argument with nature? You ask nature the question. You posit you know, you say, well, I think this is the way it is because of this. And then you do the investigation, then you do the work, try to figure out if that guess, as Feynman says, is correct. I'm going to keep rolling this thing because this is brilliant. Whoever this person is put together, you can find just Google Feynman Messenger lectures. It's all out there. It's all out there. I mean, the Messenger lectures, I think there are 4 of them. And matter of fact, the Messenger lectures have gone on for many years. They're delivered at Cornell, and they've gone on for many years. And the whole series, they're all good. They're all good. I think maybe I may be wrong. Well, I think Bertrand Russell delivered the first one. I may be wrong there. I may be misrecalling. But anyway, I'm going to roll this.
Actually, it's quite the opposite, and I will try to explain why. The first problem is how to start. You see, I'll start with all the known principles. But the principles that are all known are inconsistent with each other. So something has to be removed. So we get a lot of letters from people. We're always getting letters from people who are insisting that we ought to make holes in our guesses as follows. You see, you make a hole to make room for a new guess. Somebody says to you, people always say space is continuous, but how do you know when you get to a small enough dimension that there really are enough points in between? It isn't just a lot of dots separated by little distances. Or they say, those quantum mechanical amplitudes that you told me about, they're so complicated and absurd. What makes you think those are right? Maybe they aren't right. I get a lot of letters with such content, but I must say that such remarks are perfectly obvious and are perfectly clear to anybody who's working on this problem, and it doesn't do any good to point this out. The problem is not what might be wrong, but what might be substituted precisely in place of it. If you say anything precise, for example, in the case of a continuous space, suppose the precise proposition is that space really consists of a series of dots only, and the space between them doesn't mean anything, and the dots are in a cubic array. Then we can prove that immediately is wrong. That doesn't work. You see, the problem is not to change or to say something might be wrong, but to replace it by something, and that is not so easy. As soon as any real, definite idea is substituted, it becomes almost immediately apparent that it doesn't work. Secondly, there's an infinite number of possibilities of these simple types. It's something like this. You're sitting working very hard. You work for a long time trying to open a safe. And some Joe comes along who doesn't know anything about what you're doing or anything except that you're trying to open a safe. He says, why don't you try the combination 10, 20, 30? Because you're busy. You're trying a lot of things. Maybe you already tried 10, 20, 30. Maybe you know that the middle number is already 32 and not 20. Maybe you know that, as a matter of fact, this is a 5-digit combination. There we are. So these letters don't do any good. And so please don't send me any letters trying to tell me how the thing is going to work. I read them to make sure that I haven't already thought of that. But it takes too long to answer them because I usually in the class try 10, 20, 30.
The guy is so fucking refreshing after all the bullshit. It's like, and you can read all the stuff and listen to all the stuff, and it's like it's just amazing that. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, that's me again. It's just amazing that this guy was saying this like 60 years ago. And we're still doing it, we're still trying to, it's like, oh, well, let's just make inquiries as to how many atheists can be in the choir, how many atheists or theists do we need to be in the chorus line that can dance on the head of a pin? It's like, oh, what difference does it make? That's not gonna get us anywhere. You know? What if I don't have a brain? What if I'm a brain in a vat? What if I'm a this? What if I'm that? How do you know 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 that? Just like, Jesus Christ, shut up, please. Or, or, or maybe it's this, maybe it's this, maybe it's oh golly gee, is it this? Is it this? Let's see. Maybe it's this. I don't know. Is it this? I don't know. Let's ask no, that's not what I want to do. Go away, go away, go away. Go away. Oh no, I want to do this. Wait a minute.
Just be willy-nilly. He could just pizza sleeps fast under the West, therefore the much.
Yeah,
He has no objection to that. No objection. That's the fault. Just be willy-nilly. He could just
Yeah. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's this. I don't know. What do you think, Cy?
pizza sleeps fast under the West, therefore the much.
Yeah,
He has no objection.
Yeah. Pizza sleeps fast under the West, therefore the mutts. I mean, come on. Why do we keep doing this? You want to hear it again? It's like I'll play it again. I mean, it's like, hey, this guy's a fucking genius.
To that. No objection. Just be willy-nilly. He could just pizza sleeps fast under the West, therefore the much.
Yeah,
He has no objection to that. No objection. Just be willy-nilly. He could just pizza sleeps fast under the West, therefore the much.
Yeah,
He has no objection to that. No objection. Just be willy-nilly. He could just
Go away,
pizza sleeps
Cy.
fast under the
Just
West, therefore.
stop it. Just stop it. I'm just, you know, it's I don't know. I don't know why it's got to be pizza. I don't know why it's got to be under the West. I don't know why it needs to be therefore the much. I don't know any of that stuff. And Cy's basically saying, well, that's all the nonsense that Richard Feynman just broke down for you, Cy, but you don't want to listen to him. You don't want to listen to the sense being made. I've got a story. I've got a thought. And I'm going to ask nature, does that thought work for you? When I look out into the world, does my thought match what you're telling me? Or is it just a story that is clever? I mean, how often do you need to make the same point? How often do you need to have the same debate? How often do you need to listen to Ken Hovind cluck like a chicken? How often do you need to do that? Holy shit. I mean, I think it's really cool to try to argue with theists. I think that I value call-in shows a little bit more than I value with debates. A little bit more. Because I see people in the audience changing their minds. I don't see the point of I don't know. Throw out more stuff that's more interesting, for God's sakes. Do something fun. Go sailing. Go do that stuff. You know, it's just way more fun. It's just way more fun for me, anyway. Here I am railing on now about an hour and 15 minutes about shit that's like, why? What the fuck? And really, to each his own. You know. It's fun. it's fun. It's entertaining. It's fun to watch train wrecks, and I guess, and and it's for me too, and it's fun for me to rail about them. It's obviously, you guys are here listening to me rail about them. Maybe that's the thing. But I really think that the focus I'd like more people uh, to engage with is what's happening in the real world. What are you doing when you engage with these people? What are you really doing? Where are you campaigning? Why are you doing it? Is that the only reason you're doing it? Because you believe that you're on a mission from God, one that I don't believe exists. Is that why you're doing it? Or do you do this because of a deep-seated disagreement with uh, with justice for real people in real time? What do you do for fun? Okay, what do you do for, do do you know people? It's again, it's that real world implications of what these people are talking about, and they never want to talk about that part. And sometimes they do, and when they do, it's easy to call them out. It's easy to point them out, and I think that at this juncture, in this political climate, we need to start doing that. We really do. We need to start calling the people out for what they are trying to accomplish in the real world. When one of those people is 2 heartbeats away from the presidency as we speak. Mike Johnson is a danger to all of us. And it won't do any good to have a debate with Mike Johnson about his ontology, about epistemology. It won't be won't do any good whatsoever, because he's a true believer. A lot of these people are true believers. What's going to make a difference in the real world is getting these people away from power, because they are a threat to all of us because of what they intend to do with their beliefs. And what they intend to do with their beliefs? Well, it's echoed by Donald Trump, who I don't believe shares those beliefs. They just happen to resonate with a number of people who vote. And if you believe Project 2025, published by the Heritage Foundation as a program, or should I say pogrom, what they intend to do with those beliefs is to legislate gay marriage out of existence, same-sex marriage out of existence, transgender ideology. You hear it day and day and day and day and day and day out, day in, day out, day in, day out. Transgender ideology. No. It's like Stalin said, no people, no problem. It's us. Transgender people are the target. Will be erased. That's the goal. That's the program. That's the pogrom. Putting undesirables in jail, sending them to camps. It's in 900 pages. Women's bodily autonomy, yes. We don't have time to sit around, again, figuring out who's in the chorus line, who can dance on the top of this microphone here. How many atheists, how many theists, how many this, how many that. We don't have the fucking time. We can't be fucking around with this. Got to get serious. We really do. How to do that? Well, obviously, vote. But call these people out. Don't let them come into. Don't platform them. Don't get them on. Don't put them in. If you want to platform them, get down to the nitty gritty. You know, a lot of people have talked about Dillon walking out of the Andrew Wilson debate. Well, yeah, Andrew laid his cards on the table. At least I will give him this. He has more fucking balls than a lot of these assholes do. He just figured he'd just go full on transphobe and get Matt to walk out. But Matt should have walked out. What's more, modern day debate, to its shame, should have called him out on their own and said, we don't want to platform this bullshit. Go back to 8chan. Go back to 4chan. Go back to your fucking hive. To MDD's shame. They didn't do that. They didn't take responsibility for moderating the debate, keeping the guy on topic. They didn't, this is what I'm talking about here, people. What I'm talking about here is take some fucking responsibility. The large platforms need to take some responsibility to call this stuff out for what it is. I don't care if it's like, oh, well, I need somebody to, with a huge group of followers on the right, they'll want to advocate for Christian nationalism. No. Call that shit out. Or bring it out. But don't just put them up there and let them spout off for hours and hours and hours. I mean, I'll argue against that shit any day of the week. Bring it. But there's a difference between wanting eyeballs on screens and asses in seats and platforming people without challenge. Reviewing people without challenge. I mean, I understand that don't attack people, attack ideas. Well, you need to also understand what the whole constellation of ideas this person represents. And you need to be aware of that and attack that. Because most of the time when these people are advocating for most of the time, not all the time, most of the time when these people are advocating for these nonsense positions of creation, creationism, flat Earth, and flat Earth runs all over the gamut. You never know what those people are up to, but creationism, anti-evolutionary shit, uh, 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 biblical inerrancy, et cetera, and so forth. Most of the time, scratch a little bit, and you'll find out that what's so bad about slavery? What's so bad about this? What's so bad about that? What's so bad about white supremacy? What's so bad about being homophobic? What's so bad about being misogynistic? What's so bad about making sure the women stay in their place? What's so bad about all this other stuff? It's a bunch of bullshit. And to the extent that we let it, let that poison stay in the mud and not call it out, that's on us. You want a platform? Great. Get to the nitty gritty. Get to the nitty gritty. Again, where the rubber meets the road. Your beliefs may be bullshit. What do you do with them? What do you do with them? If my nephew can recite the Apostles' Creed, I believe in God the Father Almighty, maker of heaven and earth, Jesus Christ, his only Son, our Lord, etc., and so forth. But I love my aunt. That's what he can do with them. And he has 3 churches. And he can tell his 3 churches that's what to do with those beliefs. Can't say the same for Kent Hovind. Can't say the same for Eric. Can't say the same for Frank Turek. Can't say the same for a lot of people. Again, I'll give Andrew Wilson credit. He came out and laid the shit right on the table so everybody could see it. And you know what? Modern Day Debates didn't do a goddamn thing about it. Dillahunty did. And all the people that agree with those fundamental beliefs of Andrew Wilson's are out there right now basically saying, Matt Wilson, atheist coward. Why? Because Modern Day Debates doesn't have the goddamn balls to say Andrew Wilson bigot. Because that'd destroy their goddamn business model. They won't get another one. They won't get some other bigot to come on and find some patsy to be their monkey for them so they get eyeballs on screens and asses and seats because it's a great thing to watch a train wreck. What do you do with your beliefs? Do you help people? Do you let them slide? I railed on for almost an hour and a half. I probably am done. Anybody wants to come in, the door's always been open, but I don't see anybody wanting to, and so it's all good. I'm tired enough. I could probably go to sleep right now, but god damn it, I love you people so much. I do. I'm glad you have the patience to listen to me rail on from time to time. Be a Rosalind Carter. Hey, listen, if you do like what I say, and if you've, and if you want people to come in and give me a ration of shit, get them to subscribe to the channel, will ya? I'd like to build this thing up so that it's just humor an old lady. I'm gonna be 70 in 10 days. Oh my God, 9 days. My consolation is that I turned 21 in terms of physical confirmation. What? 9 days ago. So I'm in the middle right now. I'm in the middle. But yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to love y'all. Love all the support you've given me. I mean, Robin, thanks. So many people. Regios, thanks. Purple, thanks. All you guys. Ember, thanks. Thanks for being a friend. All you guys. Pragmatic, Crystal, you're amazing. All you guys are amazing. Jester, amazing. NJ and NJ's over in the other places. Maya, amazing. Ancher, amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. I feel like Casey Stengel. You probably don't even know what that reference is. But that's okay. If you're not a baseball fan and you're not as old as dirt, you wouldn't know what the reference is. But I just so much I so much love you guys and you know, good to be with you tonight. Thanks for letting me reel on for a bit. And speaking of amazing, now I gotta, you know, I don't even know if I can find that. I don't even have it open anymore. Anyway, my amazing team this year on both the J24 and the Etchels. Etchels tonight, awards tonight was great. It occurred to me, oh wow, we qualified for the World Championship in Marblehead next year, and in the Etchels, and the World Championship in the J24s next year in the J24. Crazy, crazy shit. I don't know how, but we did. Yeah, go help out Purple. She needs a few Pfennigs because she don't have no car. And my car needs brakes, so folks, all right, you know, you can chill there and think I'm gonna chill again too. Oh God, it's terrible. We're all broke. We're all broken. I don't know. Yikes. Anyway, drop a coin in the cup if you can. If you can't, whatever. I'll probably be doing some stuff before Thanksgiving. I'm trying to work on some stuff. I want to do another thing, ranting and raving a bit about. I'm trying to line up some people to talk about some people with some scientific background to talk about trans folk in sport as well, and that might be coming up at some point in time. But you know what I throw out there, and I just love it that you'll lend an ear every now and again, and I appreciate you. I love you. Good night. Take care of everybody you love. Do that. Ciao.